Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor, and a happy Easter to you and your family. I hope you had a joyous day yesterday. We've got a special program ahead of us. Count 'em, one guest. But boy, he's like 10 guests in one. He's the one, he's the only. He's Andrew Klavan, the host of the amazing Andrew Klavan podcast over at Daily Wire, and of course, author of the Cameron Winters series of thrillers. I see one right over your shoulder there, Andrew Klavan. Well placed. Strange Habit of Mind. I'm guessing the next book will be coming out in the fall?
The House of Love and Death. It comes out at the very end of October, beginning of November. Yep.
House of Love and Death.
Yep. I'm told by my wife, who was my harshest critic, that it's one of the best things I ever wrote. So,
well, I can't wait to read it. I do want to say, listen. As you know, I'm a fan of spy thrillers, mystery thrillers. I have never been so caught up in a brand new series. This is your third book, I believe, right?
This is the third one, right?
And I can't wait for it. So well done. It's hard to sort of hook somebody who's already sort of gone through the canon of all these other thriller writers, but you did it for sure with the Cameron Winters series.
It's been really exciting. I just signed a contract for 2 more, so we'll get to 5 at least, and I'm hoping to get even further than that.
Well, that's good news for all of us. I mean, from a literary perspective, because you've written so many books and you've written in different genres and you've written nonfiction as well, and I do want to talk to you about your memoir, the very important memoir about your Christianity and your turn to the Christian faith. But why do you think these kind of books, it's a growing genre, these thriller books where people really do want to get entrenched in these really exciting stories that are also full of intrigue and full of mystery?
Well, I think they're the core of what literature is. And when high literature basically goes into a moribund period, as it has right now, what's called romance. That doesn't mean just romance. It means detective stories, adventure stories, love stories, genre stories. They become sort of the hook on which all of literature is hung. And the reason for that is they can mingle everything. They have strong plots, they're well constructed, but they can also have all kinds of character insights and life insights and diversion. So they do what literature does in those moments when intellectual literature is not doing much of anything. And intellectual literature can't do much of anything right now because our intellectuals are out of their minds.
Yeah, but I got to ask you, so as an author, as a writer, are you taking steps to protect your canon after you pass away? I mean, I want you to live forever, but no one does.
That is the plan.
Despite yesterday's celebration of Easter. And now we're seeing Roald Dahl. We're seeing Ian Fleming. Agatha Christie has been the latest one, where their incredible canon of work is now being rewritten to accommodate the sensibilities of the politically correct culture that we find ourselves in. It has nothing to do with Agatha Christie's writing 100 years ago. Does that worry you? Do you think about it as an author?
Extremely. It worries me extremely. I want it to not anyone ever to come and touch anything that I've done after I'm gone. You know, some people have pointed out that, for instance, Agatha Christie had a novel that had the N-word in the title, and that was changed in her lifetime and then there was none. But it's totally different to do that while an author is alive and can say, yes, this is something that I would like to change, than to do it after she's dead when she's become part of history. History remains history, and it speaks to us. You know, this is what art does. It speaks to us out of the past about what it was different and about what's the same. And the only way we can hear those voices is to let them speak. And sure, C.S. Lewis said it best. He said, you may be startled by the things you read, but if you don't want to be startled, don't read old books. And I think it's important to understand that certain things change over time and certain things don't, and we can't tell which is which if these people are going to be censored by people who weren't even alive at the time they were writing. I saw, I know mildly Joyce Carol Oates. She's a lovely, lovely person, and of course an extremely talented writer, but she was kind of shrugging off this thing about Agatha Christie, saying it wasn't important because her prose style wasn't very deep or very good, and that's just wrong. That's just eat me last kind of appeasement. No, I think each one of these writers should be protected. And the people, listen, they're trying to do it to me right now. I mean, I send in books and I get notes from 20-year-old copy editors who say, oh, you referred to this woman as being coffee colored, having coffee colored skin, but that's wrong because slaves used to have to pick coffee. And my feeling is, that may be the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and it doesn't solve anything, and it doesn't help anybody, and people do have coffee-colored skin and chocolate-covered skin and all kinds of colored skin.
Yes.
And I think that this kind of what they call sensitivity readers, I think that they should be exiled from the country, possibly to a very, very small rock in the middle of the ocean where they can just pace back and forth for the rest of their lives. No, and you know, it happens all the time that people will say to you, even conservative editors will say to you, you know, this is going to insult the New York Times.
Yeah.
And my feeling is, if I can't insult the New York Times, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to live and die on the opinions of people who I just think have lost their minds and lost their way as well.
Not only that, but the New York Times, forgive me for saying so, deserves to be insulted now and again. They should be insulted.
Right.
That coffee-colored skin thing from your copy editor, our colleague Dennis Prager would say, you have to have an advanced degree or even a PhD to be that stupid to come up with something like that.
It really is true, and especially, you know, even though I don't think I'm dead yet. You know, I've lived a lot, I've seen a lot. I want to create stories out of the things that I've seen and the things that I know, which is more than my editors know. And I also have a muse, by the way, who speaks to me from without. And I think that muse has a few choice words for these editors that I won't repeat on the air. I would never say anything that unkind to these people, but my muse is a wildcat, and she'll just rip them to pieces.
I think you probably would say it. I've heard you say similar things on your podcast, Andrew Klavan, and that's why we love it. The larger issue here, though, I think, is that those people who are trying to tear these things down, rewrite them, deconstruct them, or destroy them, that's all they know how to do. They could never do what Roald Dahl did. They can't do what Ian Fleming did, or Agatha Christie, or Andrew Klavan. They can't start with that blank page or blank screen and create something that didn't exist. All they can do is knock it down, tear it apart, and decide that they know a better way to do what somebody else actually did.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And it is also true that though some artists are nice people and some artists are bad people, all artists have a cold spot at their center where they see things as they are and don't try to gussy them up because they are trying to transmit reality. The problem with propaganda, the problem with politically correct or woke reality is it's not real. And so people instantly recognize that they're being lied to, and it doesn't change the world. It only means you lose their trust. And that's why people don't go to the news media anymore. That's why people are more likely to believe in conspiracy theories, because the people who are supposed to assigned the task of telling them the truth lie to them in hoping to control in the hope of controlling their minds. And so artists have this thing inside them that is, you know, Ernest Hemingway called it a built-in S detector. I won't say the word, but it's the S word detector. And that's right. We do have that, and it does make us mean we have a cold spot at our core, and that cold spot is the thing that art comes from. It does not come from our sensitivity. It doesn't come from our kindness. It doesn't come from our meanness either. It comes from the fact that we just see and create out of what we see. And that's a gift that we are born with, and hopefully that we work on and hone over time. And it has no editor has any business changing that. Their job is to catch us in mistakes and grammatical errors and logical errors and get out of the way.
All right. Well, we've got more to come here on this special Easter edition of O'Connor Tonight with the very vanilla-skinned Andrew Klavan. Boy, oh boy. I mean, honestly, is there a whiter person in this country?
No, I'm like a snowman. Yeah.
Keep it here. More with Andrew Klavan tonight. You're watching O'Connor Tonight on the Salem News Channel.